The following episode was recorded in front of a live audience at the 2025 Utah Area YSA Conference. Irene Caso's sister once painted a picture of their family where each family member was represented by a different flower. Irene's flower was the sunflower because she is so cheerful and positive. Irene spoke of this painting at BYU's Women's Conference and said that sunflowers follow the light and stand tall, continually looking toward the sun. She told Women's Conference attendees that women can also follow the light of Jesus Christ, stand tall, and continue looking to him in their lives. I think you'll see in this conversation, this is not just something Irene preaches, it is something she lives. Irene Caso is a media relations manager for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Originally from Madrid, Spain, Irene worked for over 13 years in broadcasting as a reporter and news anchor for Univision. In addition to her full-time work for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Irene also serves on the Young Women General Advisory Council. She and her husband, Michael, are the parents of 2 children. This is All In, an LDS Living podcast where we ask the question, what does it really mean to be all in the gospel of Jesus Christ? I'm Morgan Pearson, and I am honored to have Irene Caso with me today. Irene, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out. It's such a treat to be with you. I was a young single adult for a long time myself, what felt like a very long time. So as I thought about who we could bring on today to have a live recording with, I was like, I could do people that are also young single adults or single adults. And then I thought, the last thing that I want to do is talk about being single. And I think you probably can get behind that as well. So we'll start by saying, Irene is somebody that I have long had on my list of people that I've wanted to interview. And I think once she starts talking, you'll get a taste for why. This woman is an absolute rock star. So you're in for a treat today.
Thank you so much. We've been trying to do this for a long time.
We have been trying for a very long time. Irene is a big deal, so you have to get some permission to interview her. And so we had to jump through some hoops to get this woman here. But I want to start out with a question about Irene's background. So Irene, you grew up in Madrid, Spain. Your family's conversion story is so good. I was telling my dad about it on the phone yesterday. So I wondered if we could start there. Tell us about how your family came in contact with the gospel.
It's one of those stories that I've been a missionary, and it's the ideal missionary success story. But yeah, thank you. As you mentioned, I'm from Madrid, Spain, as you know, or maybe you don't. But the church is pretty young in a country like Spain. The church was able to start sending missionaries in 1968 when there was a law that passed about religious freedom. So that was around the time where missionaries started to come and preaching openly. And my parents, very young couple, very Catholic, because that's what you are when you're from Spain, from Madrid. And, you know, very active in their church. They had 2 little girls at the time. And just to understand why is it that they were so ready to receive the gospel, let me tell you that they unfortunately lost my oldest brother. So their first baby passed away years before they met the missionaries in a very tragic circumstance, at home, unexpectedly, very traumatic, the whole thing. And after that experience, my parents had a lot of questions. They wanted to know where their baby boy was and if there was a chance that they were going to be able to see him again. And they went to talk to their, local congregation, their preacher, and nobody really gave them any concrete answers. But anyways, time passed on. They had another baby, my sister, Amaya, the second oldest. And one night they were bathing my sisters, my mom and my dad, you'd known because most of you don't have kids, but what it is that time. Yeah. The 8 p.m., like 7 p.m. window where it's crazy. You're bathing them. They're cranky. You just want to get them into bed. So the door rang, and my dad opened the door, and sure enough, he saw 2 missionaries two American missionaries, as he says, Elder Miller and Elder White. I'll always remember their names. And they said in very poor Spanish, I need to add, that they were there to talk about Jesus Christ. And my dad, which is like, he's just so good-hearted, he said, hold on, let me ask my wife. Very smart to ask my mom before saying yes to strangers coming in their house, right? So he went and asked my mom, Isabel, there's two American boys, that's how he called them, and they said they want to talk about Christ, like what do you want to do? And my mom was like, oh, have them in, why not? Anyways, they came in and right away, they talk a lot about the plan of salvation, and that really intrigued my parents. They're like, oh, hold on, this makes a lot of sense. So sure enough, they made an appointment for the next day. And the next day, the missionaries came, and they could hear through the door that there was a lot of commotion inside. There was music. There was a lot of voices. It looked like my parents were having a party. So when they knocked, like these poor missionaries with very limited Spanish and very young, and when they knocked, my parents opened the door, and the missionaries apologized. They're like, oh, we probably got the day wrong. Like, we thought you were expecting us, and it looks like you're having a party. We'll come back. And then my parents informed them, no, they're here for you. We love the message. So we've invited all the neighbors, all their friends, and everybody else. Can you imagine, as a missionary, it's a dream?
Every missionary's dream. Yeah, without a doubt.
And a nightmare too. All of a sudden, you're not prepared to teach 30 people. And again, they were having a party. There was a lot of different things happening, and they got offered coffee and a drink and everything else. But anyways, these missionaries stuck to the plan, and they started, at that time, and I don't remember because I'm very young, but the film strips? The boop, and they will switch. Yeah,
click.
Don't say you don't remember either.
No, I know about
this. This is like my very old
Irene
school.
said, I'm very young, and then she said, I couldn't know about it.
Exactly. But anyways, they play a movie that they manually had to move slides, and they play Jesus Christ in the Americas, which I always thought, like, that's an interesting second discussion.
For Madrid, especially.
Of all the scenes,
yeah.
Yes. Well, they watched the video, and as the missionaries turned on the lights, my mom and my dad, they were in tears. They felt the Spirit so strong. It was such a confirmation for them that these two very young Americans had something precious. But that was not quite the same reaction as everybody in the room.
I was going to say, how many people were interested?
They started laughing. They started mocking the movie. They started mocking the missionaries. They started making fun. Of course, the American church is going to tell us that Jesus went to America, of course. And, they had all these criticisms. But, after the night was over, I think the missionaries felt defeated in a way. But what they didn't know is that they totally had my parents converted from that exact moment. And that has been till today, the strongest members, and they've lived lives devoted to the church.
Are they so proud of you?
They are. I know they wanted to come, and I'm like, no,
they could have come.
Make me nervous because there are no ISAs. So I'm like, no, this
is a very exclusive event.
But yeah, they are very proud, and it's continuing their legacy of a life of service to the church, and we'll talk more about callings and whatnot. But think about that. In Spain, the church being so young and so new,
right.
My parents are considered pioneers. When we celebrate Pioneer Day here in Utah, I celebrate it too, because I come from pioneers of the church in Spain. And it's just amazing, and being so small. My dad has been a bishop 3 times, state president twice. My mom has served a lot of service opportunities that I think, anyways, we took them for granted. When you're in Spain, you're like, oh, so many callings. And now I'm like, nothing better than to be serving the church and serving the Lord. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, Irene knows my in-laws, so I'll say this. I love stories about missionaries. I love how often missionaries feel like they haven't had success, and then later they find out that they did. My mother-in-law, her grandmother was in a sewing circle, and missionaries came, they left their little pamphlet. They thought that no one was interested. every woman in that sewing circle, I think there were like 8 or 9 in Norway, joined the church. So it's incredible to me the way that the Lord works in people's lives. So fast forward, and I said this, I mean, they heard that your bio at the beginning. Irene not only works for the church, but you're also on the Young Women General Advisory Council. And I want to kind of start there, because I think we go from this story of Irene's family joining the church in Madrid. And then it's like, okay, now you have the chance to meet with and influence the church all around the world in 2 different capacities, which is crazy. So I wondered, how do you think your parents helped facilitate a love for the gospel that has carried you to the point that you're at now?
By example, I will say. Again, the best memories, and there's so many that I have of my parents, is always serving the Lord, organizing parties for the church, giving members a ride. I remember our family home evenings, Monday. That was the day. There was no...
Do not make plans.
Do not make plans. And seriously, constantly seeing them serve. We have a family scripture. It's in Joshua. Is that one? Choose who you will serve. Yeah. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That, of course, in Spanish, which sounds prettier, I think, was plastered all over our house. And that was our motto as a family. It's like everybody can be doing whatever. Being a member in Spain, and at that time, it was hard. I was the only member of the church in my elementary, in my high school, in my college, in my neighborhood. And that's challenging in a way. And sometimes, especially in your teen years, you look left and right and you're like, I look so weird because I'm not doing anything like everybody else is. So that scripture, keeping that in mind all the time, no matter what everybody is choosing to do, this house, we will serve the Lord. I think that was ingrained in me since like I can remember. So there was never a doubt. No matter how hard it got, trying to stay strong and stay in the church and be righteous, it didn't, because we were going to always serve the Lord. So amazing. They're wonderful people.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you determined from a young age that you wanted to serve the Lord, but you also wanted to work in television.
Yes.
And you had these big dreams, and you made it. You achieved your dream. So what was it about that career that you feel like initially appealed to you?
You know, it's one of those things that I don't even remember making a choice. Like, oh, do I want to do this or that? Since I was so little, when I was very little, that was my game. Grabbing literally the brush and anything that was long and just pretending that I was reporting and talking. In Spain, we have the siesta. Who knows what a siesta is? Only the best thing ever, right? You stop in the middle of the day and you can sleep 2 hours. And
can we implement that in America?
I tried. It's not catching up. Not here.
Dang it.
But one day it will. Yeah. But anyway, so in Spain, I remember the summers, especially the grown-ups, the adults will take naps. So they had every kid in the house. You better be quiet. Those 2 hours. So I remember in those 2 hours, I will produce newscasts. Like really, I will write and I'll have my cousin be the weather reporter. And then we will record them in like very like super old school video. And then I will report. The crime story of the day was my brother Miguel always. My brother Miguel was a bad guy. It was something that he had done. And I was writing him out with something he did. And you know, I did put together these kind of like complicated like 30-minute content things. I wanted to tell stories. I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to travel the world. But it was the telling of the stories. I love telling and talking to people. So it was never like an option for me. I was going to be a journalist. I was. And I did.
And you did.
Become one.
Well, I actually remember as a little kid, I would stand in front of the bathroom mirror and I would interview myself back and forth. But the difference is, I think I thought I was going to be the celebrity. I didn't anticipate being the journalist. Morgan. I'm not. So fast forward, you said you were the only member of the church at your university.
Yes.
You decided after graduation from college that you wanted to go on a mission.
Yes.
And you had a professor, as I understand it, who said you were crazy. that you were throwing away everything you had worked for, that you wouldn't be able to come back to opportunity. Talk to me about why serving a mission was so important to you and something you were so determined to do.
So I guess I'll have to be very honest here and candid since we're among friends. Serving a mission was never really on my plans. Again, I was going to be a war correspondent, traveling the world, reporting on these things. And I was very clear. Towards the end of my career, my college years, I started kind of dating this non-member guy. So remember, I'm in Spain. There's not a lot. This is, you guys, don't know what you have here. It was either dating my brother, which wasn't an option, or my neighbor that I've known my whole life. So, I dated, yes, a wonderful guy. But you know what? I never was super brave to share the gospel with him. I don't know. And for some reason, he had never come to church with me. Life happened and something horrible happened also in my life. Saul unfortunately passed away, and I started feeling very like the need to really, I need to go and tell people about the gospel because I could have done a lot better with Saul. So my desire to serve a mission maybe started there, but slowly but surely, that's all I could see. I couldn't wait to be done with my college degree to really go and serve the Lord in that capacity, full time, doing 100% what maybe I wasn't so brave to do in the past. And yes, as I graduated, I remember we had conversation with professors, and this professor in particular, I really admire. Like, I learned a lot. He was kind of like a mentor in a way. And so everybody's telling, what are you doing? Everybody was getting internships, or I'm going to do this, or I'm doing this newspaper, or I'm going to start slow in this radio. And, and then when it was my turn, I told him, I'm like, well, actually, I'm going to be taking a little break because I'm going to be serving a mission. And yes, that was the reaction. It was unexpected in a way, because he was very he told me my future. He told me, Irene, this is it. Like, no, these first years after college, they're so important. That's when you make the connections. That's when you really put your foot in the door. It's
like a springboard.
He said pretty much, I think you will have a very, very hard time coming back to journalism and doing what you want. And he devastated me for a second. It was only for a second that I was like, is he right? But then again, the desire was so strong to serve that I just put it to the side. And years later, as I saw my career developing and serving and accomplishing wonderful things in broadcasting, I remember my professor and I said, it wasn't impossible. I did it. I did both things. It's doable.
Right.
So yeah.
When I was in college, everybody said there weren't going to be jobs in journalism. So I was like, well, why would I study journalism? And now I'm like, well, got a job in journalism. So sometimes people aren't right.
No. And don't let anybody tell you, you know, again, your path is your path. And again, we're never alone. And I felt very strongly because I remember stressing for a second, is this right? Like, I'm going to serve you for a year and a half and you're telling me there's not going to be a chance. And I felt very strong the whole time. I got you. Just focus in this and I got you. And he did. He got me.
Okay, so let's talk about that. You ended up getting your dream job.
I did.
With Univision.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How did that come to be? Was it actually like a dream? Did it feel like a dream?
It's, again, when I mentioned that I felt very strongly the Lord was going to help me in my goals. He orchestrated the whole thing. So I will meet the right person. It's one of those stories, meeting the right person at the right time. And then the opportunity arose. So after my mission, my trainer and I became besties forever. And she's like, come, you're going to love it. Come a summer. And I came and I liked Utah. It was a lot funner in so many ways. And I went back to home, and then there was an opportunity to come to BYU to do an intensive English course.
Okay.
It didn't work great for me. It was only 4 months. I don't know what's going on. My accent gets thicker. More years I'm here,
you speak amazing English. She's always saying this. It's not true.
I'm going to go back. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But anyway, so I did that English course. And then it was during that time that I decided maybe I want to stay for a little bit and see where this leads me. My trainer and I started looking for apartments. We wanted to live in Salt Lake, behind the Capitol, in that neighborhood. And we found a basement. And in the top part of the house, there was a journalist working for Univision. So as we move in...
What are the odds?
Rare, I'm telling you. Univision, it was a small station here. They only had a couple of reporters. What are the odds? Again, well, the odds are that my path was going the right way and he was helping all along. My Heavenly Father, I don't think it's a casualty. I really don't. And it was thanks to that connection that I started like everybody else does in broadcasting. Down as an assignment editor, picking up the phones and assigning stories to reporters. Then a reporter on the field opportunity came. Then I was promoted to be news anchor, the news anchor and news director. This, of course, throughout the years. And it was just amazing. It was what I thought it would be and more. It also was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. The stories were a lot harder and more heartbreaking than reported on my brother.
Right. Because they were true.
They were true. and I serving in that station, serving the Latino community, the Spanish-speaking community, a community that is in my heart for so many reasons. It was very fulfilling and very hard at the same time. So yeah, dream job and hard career. But yeah, it was what I thought it would be.
Irene asked if I was going to throw her any curveballs, and I said no. I'm sorry, Irene. Forgive me. At what point did you meet your husband?
Oh, good question. I like it. It's not a curveball. My Mike, he's so cute. So Mike, I met him, you guys, at the Singles Word. The
Singles success story.
But after, a lot of people think, oh, you met him on your mission. Incorrect. No. Oh, you met him, as soon as you moved here. No, I moved here and I was very focused in my career. And it was 2 or 3 years after I was already a reporter and working and in the Singles Word. Yeah. I met him. I thought he was very cute. And
he has supported your career.
He's been so important. I don't take that for granted, and I don't miss an opportunity to really thank the Lord for the opportunities that I've had, and thank Mike and the kind of person and supporting husband he's been. Because without those two things, it couldn't have happened for me. There were times in my career where as I started having babies, who stays home? And he did stay home for the first years of both Diego and Lola, because, so anyways, he was all in what our family was, what my career was, and things have changed. And as the kids have grown older, now, I'm all supportive. I think I am, with his career, his dreams, but without his support at those times, it would have been hard, difficult.
As I thought about you and Mike, I thought about that quote where President Hinckley said that one night, late at night, Sister Hinckley said, "You gave me wings and I'm so grateful that you let me fly," or something like that. And I just feel like that's so important, to have a spouse and to be a spouse who helps the other reach their full potential. I think that that's remarkable.
So true.
Okay, so talk to me now about when the church approached you and asked you to walk away from that dream job.
So that's interesting. So I was working again in my capacity, news director, producing the local news here in the Salt Lake market. And I used to work a lot with the church in stories, and like any other media outlet, we will have a relationship. So at that time I received a call, and it was a manager in the media division for the church that wanted to meet with me. I thought honestly, initially, that they wanted to pitch maybe a story or something, so I went. Of course, it's the church. I went, and to my surprise, there was an invitation. Yeah, it was like, we have this position. We would love to have someone like you join. And it really caught me very off guard, because it was not something I was pursuing in a way. So I remember I asked for time. Like, I couldn't give them an answer because, first of all, I was still like not even understanding what was happening. But I remember going back home and thinking, no, No, like I'm where I need to be. I'm so comfortable here. This is so cozy here in my newsroom, doing what I know how to do with my small team in my language.
Right.
And it was such a challenge to think in doing something else and moving to the PR side of communications instead of the journalism side. I thought in my mind that it was going to be the last time I had to do that. It will just not allow me to do a lot of the things. And now looking back, I've done so much totally related to that. So I fought it a little bit. I fought the thought, but I need to be honest, it was right even that same day driving home that I knew what was going to be the answer, but I fought it. I still didn't say yes for a couple of days because I was really kind of like negotiating with the Lord, Lord, like how, like I really am comfortable here. Am I going to be good in that, in that area? And I started feeling very, very strong that the Lord, like it was, I need you now on this side. That was kind of like the feeling I kept having. Like you've done your thing in communications, you've done your, I need you now on this side of things. And it turns out it has been amazing, a wonderful opportunity, not just for me, for my family, beautiful experiences, and also the feeling that I'm doing something for him in return, you know, for all the many things he's given me. So,
well, I think the thing that's so remarkable is the way that, so for those that are not familiar with PR, typically the broadcast journalist is in front of the camera. The public relations person is kind of doing stuff behind the scenes. So I totally get how you're like, this is probably the last time I'll ever be in front of a camera, ever have a microphone in my hand. And instead, the Lord has taken you, Irene, and given you opportunities to do things for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints that are remarkable. And so, for example, the church does an event. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this, Luz de las Naciones. I just kind of butchered that.
No, that was perfect.
And Irene, you've emceed it.
I have.
For how many years?
8 years. The first year I started working for the church, that November almost.
They're like, put that girl in front of a mic. She knows what she's doing.
And it's amazing. If you have the opportunity, go November, little pitch here.
Yeah.
November 7 and 8 at the conference center. But yeah, it's an opportunity to tell stories again and to welcome thousands of people to the conference center.
And it sells out.
It sells out. It's in Spanish and it's to worship the Lord, to celebrate the gospel and the Lord through music and through dance and through beautiful stories. Is just, and yeah, I've been doing it for now almost 8 years. Yeah. And it's so fulfilling. It's just, I couldn't have imagined that I will be doing things like that. You know,
so cool. So we hear a lot, I feel like, especially lately as members of the church, you all can probably relate to this. We hear a lot about the church growing throughout the world. And so I wondered, as someone whose family joined the church in another country and who has seen all the blessings of the gospel of Jesus Christ, what does it mean to you to see all the growth in the church and to be a part of it?
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to see how the church goes to places where we've never been and the growth that is having, because I go back to my experience and I feel so blessed and so lucky that I was raised as a member of the church. I went through primary. I went through the young women. I had an opportunity to learn the primary songs and the programs, my personal progress, everything. I had that. And what are the odds? It's rare, you know, that you
hit the jackpot.
Yes. So now seeing it, that is happening all over the world. And Morgan, thanks to my job, I travel sometimes all over the place. I've been from Kazakhstan to, I just came back from Africa, and I get opportunities to see the members in those areas. And yes, it's like we might be 2,000 miles apart, but the church is the same. I know it sounds like everybody says that. It's so true. And it's so beautiful to see how that small little branch in Armenia compared to is the same. It's the same gospel. It's the same church. It's the same Jesus. It's the same. And it's beautiful. So yeah, seeing the church grow all over the world, it fills my heart, because I'm like, there's many Irenes all over the world now growing with this knowledge and these beautiful opportunities since they're babies. So I love it.
Irene, before we get to the end of our episode, I feel like our time is just flying by. We have 10 minutes left. I am not a believer anymore in balance, because every person that I've asked on this podcast about balance says there is no such thing. So you are a very busy woman. You have your husband, your kids, your full-time job, and a very big calling. So how do you handle it all? Not how do you balance it all?
I love that you're putting it that way, because I've been asked this question in the past. How do you maintain a balance? And the answer is I don't.
I don't think anybody does.
I can't balance it. I see my life as I'm juggling balls. One ball is my calling. One is my kids. One is, my professional. And there's days that one of those balls, I lose it. It's on the floor. I didn't do great on that aspect, but I kept the other ones pretty good. They were pretty high out there. So when I go to bed, I evaluate again, and I said, tomorrow, that's what I need to focus on. Tomorrow, I need to focus on Diego and that problem or that project he had, because today I didn't, give him enough time. So that's what it is. And President Johnson recently said, is the joyful juggle. And I love, because it goes with we're juggling, right? It's that craziness of a life that I'm so busy, but it's also good. All those special hats that I'm wearing and all those balls are so important to my heart. One is no more important than the other. My family is everything to me. The gospel is everything to me. My profession is everything to me. So there's a way that you can handle all those things. And I give myself tons of grace, and my family for sure give me tons of grace.
Thank goodness.
So they're so nice. And they know that some days I'm just maybe not the best mom. And some other days, maybe I tried to give my 100% on my job, but I was very focused because Lola was having a bad hair day, and I had to be on the phone with her, like walking her through the process. So, give everybody. That's my best advice. Give yourself grace. It's fine. Isn't it wonderful that tomorrow we get a fresh opportunity to be better at that one thing that we weren't so great the day before? I take it. I take every opportunity. So that's it.
I love it. I will say, I think this is actually especially relevant to young single adults. I cannot think of a time in my life when I felt more exhausted and drained and spread thin than when I was trying to work, date, serve other people. And so I hope that you're listening to what Irene is saying and giving yourself grace, because I think that that's so important.
And Morgan, there's a quote that somebody shared with me, and I would like to share with you, because for me, that's exactly how it is. He mentioned, and I don't know who the quote is from, but it was, give 100% of your time to the Lord. Give 100% of your time to your family. Give 100% of your time to your profession, to your job. And then let God do the math. And isn't it so true? It doesn't add up. You're like, it's not possible. If I'm like 100, like it doesn't add up. Just do your best in each one of those things, and He makes it work. He makes it make sense and add up.
So good. That reminds me, Dallas Jenkins, the Chosen director, always says God does impossible math. Yep. And I think that is spot on. You have had the chance on the Young Women General Advisory Council. One thing that everybody listening should know, Irene is like the biggest champion of women You're so good. You love all women. And I think that's how we all should be. But you've had the chance to serve with these young single adults on the Young Women General Advisory Council. And this is the first time there have been young single adults on that council.
I think historically, if you go back to the church history, there was a time. But yeah, when the new presidency was called, President Freeman felt very strong.
Brought it back.
We need to have YSAs be part of this council. Because these YSAs, like 2 minutes ago, they were young women, right? It's fresher. I mean, it's not that we're like very old in the council, but for us, it's been a minute for some of us.
Irene, do you remember when they used to have the clickers?
I don't. I've been told. I never knew. But so I remember when we met together for the first time as a council and we were introduced to the five. We call them the five. They are the most amazing women. I was going to say girls, but no, they're women. And they're so good, and their perspective and their vision and their ideas have been so important during the time that I've been serving in the Young Women Advisory Council. We love them. The rest, the 9 of us, we believe we're their moms. They have their own moms, but they have their council moms. So we're very involved in everything that happens in their lives and everything. And it's just, I have a tender heart for YSAs, for all of you, because again, it's a tricky part of your life, and seeing these 5, they could be doing a lot of other things. And there they are, spending hours, advising and spending time with the presidency and serving the Lord in that capacity, which is a pretty big ask, So yeah, it's been wonderful to work with them.
Which is so true of all of you. I feel like if you are here today, it's because you want to be good. Exactly. You want to give the Lord your heart. And so I always, when I was single, I would say to friends, like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing everything right. And if you're here, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. And so I just want to say hats off to those of you that are here. Before I get to my last question, you and your husband have 2 kids.
Yes.
What do you hope that they know about their mom?
That the Lord was always, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That they know that their mom always wanted to serve. That I wasn't perfect, but that the desire to serve the Lord was always there, ruling and directing my life. That no matter what decision I have to take, I really put it into a gospel perspective, an eternal perspective. So I hope that example, it's sticking on them and they don't get caught up in if I yell or not when I was stressed, or the cooking maybe was not my best, or, which they will remember those things. But I hope they remember that there was no one moment in my life when they were not a priority and the Lord was not a priority in my life.
So well said. My last question for you, Irene, is the question that we ask at the end of every episode of this podcast. And that is, what does it mean to you to be all in the gospel of Jesus Christ?
And I've been thinking a lot about that. And for me, it's not only believing that you're in, but it's acting as if you're in. It means going to that activity when you don't feel that you want to go to that activity. Is ministering to that person when that's the last thing you want to do because your day has been. Is going to the temple when you're the most tired. It's paying your tithing when it's tight and you really don't know how things are going to happen. So I think that's what it means to me, be all in. Is acting in like with a full heart and very consciously on those things that we know to be true and that we know that can make us grow closer to our Heavenly Father.
Irene, you are beautiful inside and out. Thank you so much for being with us. Can everybody give Irene a round of applause?
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for being a part of this. We We are so grateful that Irene Caso was able to join us for this special episode of All In. Big thanks to the organizers of the Utah Area YSA Conference for the invitation to record live and for help in recording this episode. And big thanks, as always, to Derek Campbell of Mix It 6 Studios for his help with this episode. We'll look forward to being with you again next week.